Welcome to this advanced and cutting-edge SEO course on GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, and LLM SEO, Large Language Model SEO, which really sounds like the most complex and boring SEO course in the world. Why would you want to do that? Scratch that. Take two. How about this way? How do you get ChatGPT and all the other AI tools to promote your business? And what if I told you that it's not even that hard and you can get a lot of results within one day, and that I'll be showing you how to do it in a very easy set of steps. In fact, I'll be showing you how I did the same thing for my own business and got ChatGPT to recommend me top instructor in the world in some things within mere minutes. And I'll be showing you a case study of that in this course. So I'll walk you through all the definitions, we'll dispel all the confusing language, you'll gain context within this field, and you'll be able to actually do a lot of this for yourself. And why is this important? Well, AI SEO is the future of SEO because many people don't understand the speed with which AI is stealing market share from traditional Google search, because Google search is way worse than ChatGPT answers to questions, because you can get such elaborate questions and more accurate product recommendations than you can through search or AI results within the search. So this is as much as the future as it is without being able to being a fortune teller. So it is, according to many people, the future of search, and we want to get ahead of this trend. Very late? No, early. You want to be now. You want to be early. That's why it's important to take this course now. My name is Alex Kanedinik. I'm one of the top SEO instructors in the world. I've been doing SEO and teaching it while doing SEO for the last 20 plus years, teaching it for the last 10 plus years. I have over 100,000 happy SEO students, and I keep my hands on the pulse of the SEO industry. Whenever there is something important and new, I know about it quickly, and I make new content about it quickly as well. Hence, this course is the first course of its kind on Udemy and many other platforms. So welcome to the course, and let's begin getting ahead of everybody else in this new trend of SEO. I want to tell you about a few options that will make your course taking experience much better. I host the office hours with students over Zoom, where you can meet me and ask any questions you have in person. It's free, and it's something special I do for students because I really like meeting students, and you get a much better experience than just a course. The office hours are once a month, and I host them on a different day at a different time, so people in different time zones and different schedules can join. The schedule for the next office hours is always posted on my website, problemio.com/officehours.php. I'll have the link to that page in the resources of this video, so you can always click it and see when the next office hours are. You're very, very welcome and encouraged to join, and I look forward to meeting you there. Now also, if it seems that I talk too fast or too slowly, you can adjust the Udemy video player speed to suit your needs. Find it in the video player. Under this number, you click here, slow it down, or speed it up. Another issue that some students have is that every once in a while, there's a glitch where the video doesn't play. The way to fix this is try the same video on different browsers. If that doesn't help, try it on different devices. If that doesn't help, usually after a little bit of time, the issue just resolves itself. But rest assured, the videos are fine. And if you get no audio, every rare once in a while, people misclick the audio here, especially on a mobile. It's very easy to tap that and turn it off, so make sure that the audio is just on. Also, if there's ever anything confusing in the course or something that you wish is covered isn't covered, please let me know by clicking on the Q&A tab and asking a new question by clicking this Ask a New Question tab. I see and answer all of these, and I truly am here to help you and make sure you have the best course taking experience. And lastly, you can turn captions on or off. They're auto-generated, so there may be errors. And if you want something beyond captions, like the transcript, you can actually click the transcript, and you see you get the whole entire transcript of the video here. And lastly, if you need the course certificate, on the top right, there is a link to your progress. When you have 100% completion rate, you will automatically get a certificate by email. If you don't get your certificate then within 24 hours, please contact Udemy support, which is support@udemy.com. But just make sure these are all completed, and you can actually go through these and scroll and see which ones don't have a check mark. Then make sure that you complete those, because every once in a while I add videos to the course. So these are some of the most helpful features of Udemy. So with that, enjoy the course. Let's define what is GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, and compare that to the more traditional SEO, Search Engine Optimization. And as we do that, since GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, is a relatively new field, the word generative has a few jokes associated with it, mainly degenerative. So if you ever have an urge to make a funny comment like, hey, this presenter has practiced degenerative SEO on himself, please reserve those comments, because even myself, the first day I saw generative, I thought degenerative. But let's not make that joke. It's a little too easy. Let's talk about what GEO actually is. It's relatively new in the SEO world, but you might even say that precisely this is the future of what is modern SEO today. This is where modern SEO is going, because today people are searching Google mostly, but AIs are taking more and more search market share from traditional search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo and etc. And while GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, is actually still present on Google itself, because it does give you AI-driven results as well, there's so much of it that is moving off of Google that in a large way, Google is in some sort of trouble here. And SEO may shift largely away from Google itself. And this will be a seismic shift in the entire industry that we just have never seen since actually before Google was invented, because that's what Google did to the other earlier search engines and disrupted that entire industry. So in any case, what we're interested in knowing now is how to optimize your content to make it more visible on AI-driven search engines, so that AI-driven search engines, like if you ask ChatGPT, what socks should I buy? If you sell socks, you want ChatGPT to promote your socks. That's GEO. And of course, these AI tools have a wide range. There are dozens and dozens of these. The best known one is ChatGPT. There are others like Perplexity and many, many other AI tools, including, of course, Google, because Google, as I mentioned a little earlier, does have its own AI overviews. And before I give you an example of how to actually do GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, let's explain the difference between traditional SEO and GEO. In traditional SEO, the focus is usually on keywords, keyword identification, then keyword optimization in your content. With GEO, there's less focus on keywords and more on entire context, because AIs, they don't need to mix and match keywords. They are more intelligent in many cases than most people. And depending on how negative you are on people's general intelligence, you might say, oh yeah, people are not even that smart to begin with. I didn't say that. In that joke, some grumpy theoretical viewer of this video is making that little comment. You and I are much nicer than that, of course. And getting back to being a little serious, we do want to acknowledge that AIs care about context, because they can understand context just like a human would. And so the context that's important to share with the AIs is, how well does your content explain the whole picture? And how does that fit within your brand? Like, let's say you're a doctor and you're talking about something within nutrition. AIs understand, okay, let's say it's a really informative, well-rounded article, and there's a context like, hey, the person talking is a doctor, not somebody from the street. Oh, great. And of course, they'll verify your content. Is it accurate with whatever else it knows about that subject matter? like latest research by top universities, etc. And if it thinks, oh, it's true, and the presenter is authoritative and the content is good, then of course you'll have a far higher chance to be promoted in the AI search engines. But let me give you a more concrete example. Let's say you're selling some product. Maybe it's a yoga mat, maybe it's a cooking pot, or any other product. In the past, let's say we're doing a yoga mat example, your main keyword would be yoga mat. If you can rank in Google search for the keyword yoga mat, you would make millions and millions of dollars. And in addition to attempting to rank for the keyword yoga mat, you would attempt to rank for a number of related long tail keywords like green yoga mat, red yoga mat, soft yoga mat, long yoga mat, short yoga mat for kids, yoga mat for women, yoga mat for men, yoga mat, blah, 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 blah. As many variations as you can. And maybe you'd make multiple pages, because within one page it would be nearly impossible to rank for so many keywords, but you'd love to rank for all the possible variations of keywords which apply to your particular yoga mats, because the more keywords you rank for, the more traffic you get, the more sales you make. Easy peasy. But now with AIs, as I mentioned, it's not about the keywords, it's about the context. So how does that play in here? You see, because it's context, what you're going to want to focus on is writing a longer and much more detailed description explaining exactly when your particular yoga mat is best, what kind of audience is best for, and for which use cases. Because you're not going to trick AI to think that your yoga mat is the best one for all cases in the world, but you should convince the AIs that, let's say you're selling extra soft yoga mats. So for people with joint problems, this is the ideal and premier best thing they can get. What that would imply is that you would write out that explanation in much more detail than you would in the past. So you would maybe cite some studies. You would maybe cite some doctor quotes, just as if you were convincing another person to buy this. You would give the same reasoning and context to the AIs, because they'll be able to truly understand it and put two and two together. So when somebody with, let's say, back problems or injuries is looking for an extra soft yoga mat, out of the many extra soft yoga mats they can recommend, they will be much more likely to recommend yours if you give sufficient context and reasons. And if we elaborate on this yoga mat example, today there are many people going to ChatGPT to ask health advice, because in many cases it's proven to be better than doctors. And the responses are immediate, whereas to see a doctor, you have to make an appointment, pay money, etc. So many people are actually going to AIs rather than Google, rather than doctors, for medical advice. And the AIs give very elaborate answers, like, let's say somebody has back pain. And the AI will actually give many solutions for the back pain. One is softer cushioning shoes, softer cushioning carpets, softer cushioning yoga mats or exercise mats to lessen the blow on the joints of those patients. And imagine if it recommended your brand. That would be amazing. In fact, actually, I had some foot pain and asked AI for how to fix this. It's been like a long-term soccer injury that I've had for like many years. And you know what? It recommended a number of brands that make extra soft shoes, and I bought them. So it's real. It doesn't just work on some random people out there. It actually worked on me. I'm a real case study. And miraculously, the shoes it recommended really worked for me. So that's GEO. There is a high chance that this is the future of SEO. Now I want to define a term, LLM SEO. It's a new term, and whenever you hear a term GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, in the same sentence or the same breath, you might also hear LLM SEO. No matter where you go to search, whether you go to Google search, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, or any other website where they have search-like or conversation-like capability. And when you want some information, whether it's what product should I buy or what's the right answer for something, what's happening underneath is GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. All of these search engines are using artificial intelligence to generate the best answer for you. But how do they do that? If we look at this graphic, and if GEO is the center of everything, right? Everything is generative engine optimization. What is this pink circle? What powers GEO? And that is LLM SEO, large language model. What does that mean? It's actually simple enough, because when you're using ChatGPT, what's happening underneath is ChatGPT, the interface, is selecting an artificial intelligence model to provide you the answer. Earlier models were ChatGPT 1, ChatGPT 2, ChatGPT 3, 4, 5, etc. It's going to go on like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They just keep getting smarter. It's the same with all of them. When you go to perplexity.com or googlesearch.com, underneath there is an evolving and improving large language model that powers everything. So first, these engines, all of these tools, they process the information from your website, and then when people ask them questions to generate the answers to the questions, all these tools reference the LLM model they have underneath to extract the best information. Now, what does that mean for you? It's very simple, because LLM SEO is just going to go and interpret your website. The most important thing for you to do on your website is to structure the content on your website in as clear as possible a way. Now, when I say structure your content, it can be confusing because there is a term structured content and there's another term content structure. It sounds similar, but it's different. Structured content can sometimes mean something technical in the way you lay out your HTML and other parts of your technology stack. That's actually not what we're talking about here. Here, we're only concerned with the structure of your content, meaning how you as a human conceptualized the layout of the information on your website. What's going to be first, what's going to be second, what's going to be on page X, what's going to be on page Y, how easy is it going to be for people and AI models to understand what your website is all about, your level of authority, etc. That's what you really want to get right, is how you lay out all the content on your website, which is actually not that hard. It's logical. We'll talk about it a lot in this course, but it's also just intuitive. So with this graphic, what I was trying to drive home is when you think of GEO, you are really thinking of, I'm going to move things around here. The arrow is going to get shortened. You're thinking GEO are these things, right? ChatGPT, Perplexity, but actually the answers are powered by the models underneath. What are the models? Just for curiosity's sake, here are the corresponding models. For example, when you go to ChatGPT, the model is GPT-5, 4, whatever. When you go to Perplexity, it's Claude Sonnet. When you go to actually Bing Copilot, it's also powered by GPT-5, the same model that powers ChatGPT. We are not too concerned with what the model is underneath, but we should be aware of how GEO and LLM SEO work together and what their relationship is. But as SEO marketers, our job remains similar. Provide clearly structured good content from authoritative sources, because that's one of the things that these large language models will look for. How clearly is the content structured? How expert is the author? Obviously, they look at many other details, but those are some of the main ones. So hopefully that clearly illustrates the relationship between LLM SEO and GEO. There's one more concept I want to introduce you to, and that is AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. It's similar to SEO and GEO in LLM SEO, but it's not exactly the same because it focuses specifically on answer-based systems and answer-based use cases. For example, when people type questions into Google to some queries, the best result is just an answer, not a million links to different websites, not a product, not any kind of business, but just like a factual answer. For example, what is the kind of material for your clothing that is best for keeping moisture out? There is an objective answer out there in the world. And for many questions, you don't need the extra bells and whistles that search almost always has provided in the past. You just need an answer. So AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, focuses specifically on those cases, but those cases can appear on a multitude of platforms, including Google's featured snippets and answers, and even the AI answers often just attempt to actually answer the question without all the extra bells and whistles that usually can come in the search. Similar for Bing and similar for many of the other traditional search engines out there. Today, they have a feature where they recognize whenever an answer is needed, they just provide the answer. But this paradigm extends to many other places like voice assistants that range from Alexa, Siri, Google Voice Assistant, and many other voice assistants. Very often, you ask them a question and they just give you an answer. So AEO is the process of you optimizing your content to make sure that the answer they pull is from your brand in case they ask for more or for extra information. Your brand can get that visibility. But of course, you may be already asking yourself and thinking, well, don't people ask questions on ChatGPT also? Of course. So ChatGPT and other AI engines are also a place where people simply ask questions, and your content, if it's positioned in the right way, can get used by the AI engines just to answer questions. Keep in mind, of course, they do far more than answer questions, but one of the things they do is answer questions. So naturally, the next question you may be asking yourself is, what should I have for lunch? No, just kidding. You might be asking, what's the main takeaway for me here? And the main takeaway is optimize your content so direct answers can be extracted from your content, and then answer engines will naturally be more likely to pull content from your website. So now you no longer just have to worry only about ranking in search. That's the model of yesterday. You can still get traffic from search, but today you also have to worry about LLM SEO, GEO, and this topic, AEO, Answer Engine Optimization. So yes, worry about search engine ranking, but curate your content in a way that directly answers relevant questions. And in the next video, I'm going to begin breaking down how exactly to optimize your content so that you position it for number one, the traditional Google search, number two, GEO, number three, LLM SEO, and number four, AEO, so that you can optimize your content for all of these without having to create more content. But when you create your content, it will just be a much more precise and intelligent and savvy strategy that will position you incredibly well to beat out all your competition, even giant brands, today and moving forward. Now, I want to begin giving you an example of how to optimize your content in order to rank for all of these new concepts, AEO, GEO, LLM SEO. It's possible you're still getting used to all the terminology and the concepts may be flowing into one another, like they're a little confusing. So in this video, I made a little spreadsheet to help you contrast and understand the differences between them to solidify the concepts, so that with the very next video, when we start to look at how to actually make your content on your website different in order to prepare your content so that it can get used by these different ways AI can use your content, this will just help you solidify where each one fits in this ecosystem. So let's start from the top. AEO, Answer Engine Optimization, column B. You can quickly see that you're focusing on Google search, Bing search, and the various voice assistants. Now, going to column C, what's the purpose? The purpose is to be featured in result snippets and answers. And when people ask additional questions or clarifications, this is where If you optimize for AEO, your content and website and brand will be more likely mentioned in these answers. And if we move over to column D, the key strategy for how to actually accomplish this. So you would want to create FAQ style content or more FAQ pages on your website. And even if you don't do the FAQ style content, what you want is content that's answer based formatted. Instead of a heading like XYZ, the answer might be, what is the best XYZ or how to do XYZ? And you can accomplish that in the subheadings of your pages. Of course, you want to use structured data and provide clear, concise answers to potential questions that consumers might have. So it's actually optimization, but it's really also helping your potential customers buy from you better, because when you answer their concerns and questions, they'll be more likely to move to the next part of the sales process. So it's a good practice thing to do anyway. Now, that's AEO. Let's move on to GEO, Generative Engine Optimization. And of course, generative, degenerative, this joke is probably getting old now. I won't use it too much, I promise. So if we move over to column B, what platforms you are targeting. Here you're targeting platforms like ChatGPT, other AI tools like Perplexity, and the Google's AI assistant. And your goal is to have your content cited or summarized as a source in AI-generated answers. So as we move over to column D, how do you do this? In addition to writing FAQ-style content and answer-based content, you want to write semantically rich content that gives a lot of background and adds unique value for the subject matter. And it should be structured well so that AIs can more easily understand exactly what you're addressing, what you're explaining, so that they can use it in elaborate content and conversations they have with users. Now, moving on to LLM SEO, which stands for Large Language Model SEO. This is where you're targeting the AI models, like, again, repeating here ChatGPT also, but also other AI engines. And what you want to do is to increase the chance that your content is learned from and referenced and recommended. And as you might be seeing, there is obviously overlap. The purpose here is very, very similar, or at least highly overlapping with GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, and LLM SEO. Yes, it's highly overlapping. But what I want to point your attention to, the difference, is that it's richer content. Because look, the key strategy here is to focus on your own authority and portray yourself as an expert. You also want to have fact density and reference density and make your content the most potentially referenced for the AI. So when AI decides, what's the best content on this topic to learn from so that I can give the best answers to consumers? Oh, it's that content that has all the research and the expert is writing it and they wrote an incredible article and they explored the subject matter from different angles and it's just the richest content and has the best depth of coverage. That's the content it will use. Of course, it will use a mixture of content and websites, but yours will be much more likely to be one of the ones it uses. Hence, it might reference your brand. And this is actually great for your business, because if in the past you were like writing blog post articles just to rank in Google, whatever, blah, 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 hope for the best, kind of a hope and a prayer, like most blog posts are out there. Like, if we're honest, most blog posts don't quite get the level of scrutiny and writing like books or, they're blog posts. They're a little bit more informal. But what if you change that approach and write as though you want to be the number one source on the subject matter? Really write something amazing. That will actually be amazing for your readers and amazing for your business, and actually your personal brand and your business brand will be elevated manyfold. So it's fantastic for your actual business, but also you'll be taking care of your LLM SEO. So these are tremendously good practices, actually. Even if they weren't SEO tactics, they would actually be usability tactics, because they'd help your consumers engage with your business more. So hopefully this explanation clarifies the difference between AEO, GEO, LLM SEO. And if ever you're confused, which I admit it's very confusing, you can always reference this so that it's all in one place, compared side by side, and you can dispel any future confusion within seconds. Now,